Welcome to another episode of Talk Legal to Me. We are coming to you from PimCon in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we have an amazing guest today. It is Amanda Demanda from Miami, and she's here to talk about the ideal client profile, niching down to really find who your true client is and should be, and intentional branding. This is a power-packed episode with a lot of information, so welcome Miami's own Amanda Demanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I
This is really
know.
nice setup.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad to meet you and to speak to you. And you're here for PimCon.
I am in your hometown.
Yes. And you are a speaker.
hmm
And you spoke today and you presented.
I did. It was fun. The stage was definitely a fun conference stage because with all the screens and everything, it was almost like you're unveiling an iPhone.
Right. Right.
But it was very fun. And I'm glad I got to share the information of how I've built my firm and my brand, but more so that I got to hear from other people and how they've done it and why it's important to be unique and different and how we all approach our market. So
That's great. And I heard your presentation and I loved it. And I thought you had so many pieces of information that were just helpful to any law firm owner because I think that we all think we brand ourselves well, but we can do so much better.
yes.
And I think you show us that because I feel like your branding is very intentional and very targeted. And so, talk to me a little bit about that. How did you get such a knack for branding and marketing?
Well, I did marketing before I was a lawyer,
Okay.
but I've also always liked the arts and creative things. And I'm a very spatial person. So I see a space, I see a brand that I'm always thinking this could go better with this or this color. It just kind of comes natural to me. So I've really leaned in on that. And I know attorneys sometimes are afraid to do that because maybe they feel like they're not as creative. But if you're in the personal injury space, I think most of us start with a caseload,
Sure.
trying a case, and we have to be so creative. I mean, I think personal injury lawyers from many different industries, we do a lot of lawyering. So
Right.
that requires a lot of creativity. And it's funny how we just try to separate what marketing is from the caseloads we do.
Sure.
I mean, when you have to persuade a jury and have a theme, that's that's a brand. Your theme is a brand.
Right.
And if we translated all those skills that we have and use to actually apply it to the marketing, it would work. I just think people don't take the time to sit down and do the brainstorm and do the exercise. It just takes time. It just
Sure.
nothing special. You just do the work.
Right. And is that what you did when you set out to start your own firm?
Yes, well, I started it. I had to rip the band-aid and go when I kind of spoke about that today.
Sure.
But I quickly realized that I didn't have the ad spend budgets that other people had. So I had to be very innovative and creative and save every dollar I could to really make it last. So I did sit down and do a lot of the brainstorms and studied the market and studied the color. And I think a lot of people don't do that and they think they could just hire a production company to do that for them, but it won't be genuine because someone can come and tell you your core values should be accountability, responsibility, but those are truly just aspirational words. Like, does
Right.
your group really embody that? Does your target really embrace that? And you just have to be involved in it
Right.
because production companies can come in and give you a great idea, but if it's not genuine to you, the audience in the market won't connect because they could see that. It's just like in trial.
Sure.
You go to trial academies. Have you ever been to some?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you get like these old guys go up there and they're great.
Yeah.
And they have these huge verdicts, but they're like with the gray hair.
Yeah.
Some of them are Southern and they have like that drawl and they
Yeah.
say y'all and they say this is what you got to do. I
Right.
say, well, I go in front of a jury in Miami-Dade and I don't speak like that and I don't have the
Right.
great hair. And if
Right.
I get up there and try to say y'all and something that's not me, it's not going to connect.
Right.
So how you find what other people do and really do the homework of saying, how do I convert this to something I could do myself? I think it's overlooked, the work it takes to do that.
Sure. I think you're right about that. I think it's often missed. And hopefully, now that we've heard your presentation, we can be more intentional and take the time to like really think about it and really make our branding about us.
But
So,
I think too, people shouldn't be so um want perfection. Just start with something. Nike is my
right.
favorite brand. Just do it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
it. We
Okay.
cannot become paralyzed in action
Right.
by wanting perfection,
Sure.
because from the time we started the idea of pink and me going out there, even my logo kind of changed and morphed into what it is now, and I'm sure it may morph with the times as they change, the fonts that are in style, the market we're trying to reach, where you're placing your ads. So I just say, just take the first step. It will snowball and become what it needs to be, but you have to be stubborn about the vision and who you are genuinely, how you want to put yourself out there.
That's really great advice. I do think that oftentimes we get paralyzed with it needs to be like this
I
perfect
know.
specimen before we release it to the public. And you're just inactive then. You're not doing anything.
I know, like social media,
Sure.
you would think I like social media, but like most women, we're just, oh, my hair's out of place, or, but
Right.
it got to the point that we're worst critics. I just tell my team, just put it out. I don't even want to approve it. I don't want to see it, because I'm gonna nitpick at things that
Sure.
are not big deal, and we just got to put it out there. So little
Exactly.
things like that, I think, is a great example. Just put it out there.
Just do it. I like that. I like that piece of advice. Take me back to like when you even started. Did you know you wanted to be a personal injury attorney? How did you get into this field?
Well, I went to law school the week before I go to law school. I had a slip and fall case myself
Oh, wow.
at a big box store. And because of that, I fractured my patella, and I could not dance in the last bowl game of. I went to the University of Miami, and I used to dance with, like, for the football team during the half
Oh,
times and travel.
cool.
And because of that injury, I couldn't dance in the last bowl game of my college days. And the case kind of stayed open and
Sure.
lingered. And then right when I'm going to law school, which was about 4 years after my undergrad, I settled the case, which was heaven sent, because then I kind of had a little bit of a base to go do law school,
Sure.
monetarily. But after doing that, I kind of saw how the lawyers handled the negotiations and the
Mm.
mediation, and I was like, well, I can do that, or maybe better. I kind of liked it. So I went to law school, and then in torts, which this is for law students really, or people who are lawyers. um, I booked that class. It's the first exam I take, and I get the book award. And, it's just like
Wow.
the best grade in the class. And I was like, well, this must be a sign.
Right.
And I really just liked it. And the more I went through law school and took internships in the summers, I would work at PI firms. And I realized I definitely want to do this. So when I graduate, PI firms are not easy to get into, to work in the
Sure.
smaller firms. I actually did defense work for a year, but I was defending big box stores. So it
Okay.
was still in torts,
Yeah.
and I learned exactly what to do. And a year after, I was gone to work with an opposing counsel.
Okay.
And it just kind of naturally progressed into something. And then once I was doing it and I knew I was good at it,
Hmm.
I was like, I got to make this a thing, a brand. And from then on, it just became really my passion. It just all made sense. But I never knew, like, people say when they're young, I wanted to be an attorney since I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't. I wanted to be a fashion uh, stylist. I love art. I love painting. I really wanted to do like broadcast production. I like putting things like this together.
Sure.
So my first degree at University of Miami is broadcast production with
Oh,
political
okay.
science. So, and I never wanted to be on camera, oddly enough.
Okay.
So
Quite a transition.
yeah, but everything you do in life, it kind of
Yes.
pulls together, and I'm not scared to produce a TV show or do what I need to
Right.
do. So
Right. And you have your own TV show,
I do.
and you do that, and is on daily.
It's on daily in a local
Okay.
Spanish channel
Very
in my
cool.
hometown of Miami.
Love
And
that.
it's a daily show. We have a TV studio in office,
Okay.
but we pre-record some things, pre-record live and all that.
Sure.
So
I
it's
love
fun.
that. You have so many things going on. So I know that you're a mom and I'm a mom and I can totally relate to you. How do you balance all of that? How do you tend to all these responsibilities and everything that's on your plate? Because I know sometimes it's a balancing act and we
It is.
have only 24 hours in a day, but you seem to do it seamlessly, which is really impressive.
So just do it.
You're like, did I not mention that already?
People are like, I live day to day. Yeah, day to day, maybe hour to hour.
Sure.
But also, I think one thing I'm very good about is about compartmentalizing. Sorry, everything. I seriously put things in boxes.
Okay.
And when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I'm a very
Sure.
present person, so I don't let things bleed into each other. And I think that really helps to time manage and manage stress and control yourself. Because if
Sure.
you're doing one thing but you're worrying about what thing you have to do next,
Mm.
it makes it difficult to juggle a lot of things. But also, I think discipline is freedom. I'm very hard on myself. What gets put on my calendar gets done. Um, and when you adhere to your schedules and really don't fall off, because people say, well, I'm going to work out when I feel like it. You're never going to feel like it. I'm going to read
Yeah.
that book when I feel like it. You're not
You're
going to
never
read the
gonna read
book.
it.
So I don't give myself those luxuries. I really don't.
Sure.
I'm pretty hard on myself,
That's good.
and
I
I think
mean,
more people should be. But
yeah, no,
I don't want to push, but yes.
I don't think you would get to where you're at if you weren't. So, it's a true testament that when you make a commitment, I mean, even with all the responsibilities you have towards PimCon and being a speaker and everyone wants to meet and talk to you and all of that, you still are here today, which I so
Oh no, thank
appreciate.
you.
Thank you for
I was
taking the
supposed to be here earlier. I
time.
feel terrible.
No,
No,
you still came and you have another event to go to. And it's like your days are just going on and on here. So, thank you so much for doing this. I really
but it's really
appreciate
just the
it.
more you do, the more you do.
It's true. It is true.
It just
Yeah,
I thrive in that
right.
forward movement. So
What are some goals that you have, or what's on the horizon for yourself or your firm?
well, the vision for the firm is because Miami is such a special place. It's a melting pot, really. And there's a
True.
lot of other cities that are great metropolis cities that have a bunch of different, diverse their cultures and all that and their fusion. But Miami's special because there's so many Spanish speaking people from so many different countries. And we've kind of carved out a special place for ourselves there. And when you leave Miami to any other city in our country, it really does feel different. And I feel that the Hispanic community in Miami really does have a voice a lot different than in a lot of other demos. And I want to kind of bring that culture to those places. And if the only way I could do that is by my legal representation, and at least with the formula I have for how to handle cases, how to handle community involvement, then that's my mission, to go to any Hispanic market near you that will accept me and let us do the good work we do and giving back in the community and trying to build a place that's safe. And you see a lot of advertising, and attorneys say se habla español, but our advertising is in Spanish. We are a Hispanic focused driven firm. All our employees speak Spanish. We answer the phones in Spanish. Our hold music is in Spanish. All our
Okay.
documents are in Spanish. So
Great.
sometimes I want to argue in Spanish in court.
Yeah, you're like, let
And the
me.
judges would probably be like, okay, Amanda, go for it, because they'll understand.
Sure.
But except that the opposing counsel, the hired gun they bring out from like New York would be like, what is happening here?
Right. Let me get my translate real quick. Yeah.
But I think the vision is just try to spread this idea of letting the Hispanic community know that in a moment of tragedy, they do have someone that understands them, treats them like family, understands their culture, how they're processing, and that it's not a foreign experience for them.
That's great because it is a foreign experience for a lot of people. And then if
Yes.
you add the language barrier component, I mean, you're really empowering your community to be able to make legal decisions and feel confident that you're by their side. They entrust you. How do you think that you build the trust within your community, the best?
I do believe, and I mentioned this in my speech today, that community involvement is king. Just making yourself accessible to them and approachable and
Sure.
speaking their language, but also by educating. We do a lot of informational events or pamphlets and videos because there's nothing more empowering than giving someone the information they need to make an educated decision. And a lot of things that we know from just being born in the United States or being raised here, we take it for granted.
Sure.
But the system of torts is a foreign is a foreign concept to all the Caribbean and South America. It doesn't really exist.
Right.
You
You're
know,
right.
you fall somewhere, you get injured somewhere, you're in a car accident that you may have insurance to fix your car, but there isn't that idea of pain and suffering and recovery and compensation. So trying to let people know that that exists here and what that means, and that it's also not just a freebie, but also letting them understand that they could pick an attorney, that they have the right to do that. Just with a lot of information, I think they realize, oh, she's just trying to educate us, and they appreciate that.
That's great. That's fantastic. I love that you do that. I love that you take the time to like really deep dive into your community. You talked about how you branded yourself and what target audience you really focused on. And you talked about the abuelitas and they watch your show and then maybe they recommend their grandchildren to come your way. And I think that's just so great, you know, just how you target that audience and that market and you provide education to them so that they really can trust you. You know, that's
But
just
I talked
amazing.
about too that if you know who you're trying to target, or you pick a demographic you want to target, and then you go backwards from there to either build a brand, a branding guide, or even a specific advertising campaign, it really narrows what message you need to put out there and how you're gonna say it and they're gonna receive it. Because if you're trying to appease everybody, it's going to be very difficult to really create a commercial spot or a message that is complete, right? Because the more educated people or the more professionals, more degrees they have, they're probably not going to call me to represent them because they want an older person that has the
Mm-hmm.
gray hair and the
Right.
southern twang, and I'm
The
not going to be
y'all.
that, and
Yeah.
it's fine.
You did.
But
You did say that on a podcast that I heard you on. I was listening and you said, you know, my competition's not Morgan and Morgan. My people cannot say Morgan and Morgan. And I
yeah,
thought that was so right and so
yeah.
correct. So,
They're intimidated by it. And Morgan and Morgan
sure.
could be great. They have great attorneys. I mean,
Right.
they're in my city and many of my friends work there.
Right.
Um, but it's just that initial barrier, that's not who they're going to gravitate to.
Right.
So it's like, I don't feel like they're my competitor because
Right.
I've lessened that noise in the market and the target I have.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Well, I know you have quite a bit of things left to do in your day, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight. And it was just a pleasure listening to you today during your presentation. And thank you so much. So I wanted to give you a little token gift.
Oh my God, you're too cute.
But
Thank
this is
you.
a female entrepreneur. She's actually from my community. I'm Serbian. And so just wanted to
This
give
is
you
so
something.
nice. Oh my God, this is so
And
nice.
some fun little daily affirmation cards because you're just a
I love
badass.
these. I didn't realize I did affirmations even as a kid.
Oh, okay.
But then now you read about it, I'm like, I used to do that,
That's
so
great.
wake up every day with a grateful heart and really mean it. So this
Sure.
is really sweet. Thank you. You didn't
Yeah,
have to.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Again.
me too.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Talk Legal to Me. Remember, you can listen to us everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. And if you want to watch along, visit my YouTube channel at Lawyer Gordi. Until next time, stay informed, stay legal, and stay fabulous, besties.